One of the big reasons that you're probably struggling with dating and relationships is because one or more of your core beliefs is holding you back. But you aren't going to make any progress so long as you believe it, because it is integral to basically your moral framework, or to use a fancy philosophical word, your ontological framework. Like, you think this is actually how the world is. Or a moral framework is, this is how I and other people ought to act, how we should act, right? And one of your beliefs in one of these camps is going to keep you from having the dating life that you want, or from having a relationship or a marriage with the woman that you want. And so you need to start asking yourself, what kind of beliefs are holding me back? And are they true? And are they helpful? This is the test that you need to give yourself, right? What do I believe? Is what I believe even true? And what evidence do I have for or against it? And then, is it helpful? Because something can be untrue and unhelpful, can be true and unhelpful, true and helpful, or wait, what the fuck? Wait a second. Unhelpful and true, unhelpful, not true, true and helpful, and true and unhelpful. I just repeated myself. God damn it, guys. We're going to get this right, okay? So, true has two things in and helpful and unhelpful. True and helpful, true and unhelpful, untrue and helpful, and untrue and unhelpful. Yeah. Okay, cool. We're good. So, the one I was missing was untrue and helpful, which is kind of weird, right? Like, this actually is something that a recent client of mine, that he was struggling with, which was one of the delusions that I actually advise for guys to have. And it's this, I will win. Or in much cooler terms, nah, I'd win. If you don't know what that reference is, it's from an anime, and the character is Gojo Satoru, and Jujutsu Kaisen. Jujutsu Kaisen? Is it really Juju? Jujutsu Kaisen. Jujutsu Kaisen. Yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen. Yeah, okay. Wow. This video is just going so well. I'm so fucking prepared, right? Okay, Jujutsu Kaisen, right? And basically, a character asks this guy, Gojo, like, if you fought this really evil, strong guy who is considered the strongest in history, would you, could you beat him? He's like, yeah, I'd win, right? And this mentality, I actually think, is very helpful, even if it's not always true for the moment. Because when you're dealing with potential, it's a very hazy thing, right? So the way that the context in which I was talking about it with the client was, could he be a better seducer than me or someone else? Like, he was hanging around these guys who they went to Brazil for 2 weeks, and one of the guys slept with like 6 girls, and the other guy slept with like 10 or 11 girls. And he was kind of just overwhelmed by this level of skill. And, he felt not as good, which is true. And I told him, those are some very, very impressive numbers. But you need to believe that if you had the same kind of training they did and same kind of experience they did, you could be on their level. Or in the future, you can get that experience and skill and be on their level. And he didn't really believe that. He didn't believe that if he had everything they had, could his mind still take him to that level of execution where you can be that cool and charming and sexy and also skilled that you can sleep with that many girls. And this was one of the few moments where I was like, you need to just delude yourself. This is one of those delusions that I think is helpful, right? It might be untrue, but like I said, when you're dealing with potential, it's kind of hard to give it a hard, this is true and this is not true, right? Because, like, let's say I want to be a streamer or something, right? If I don't start streaming and uploading videos, I'm never going to become the next whoever, right? And have 1 million viewers or subs. But if I do and I fail, there's always the possibility that tomorrow things are going to change, right? It's an uncertainty, right? But if I don't do it, it's 100% certain that I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to get that many subs and views and all the money and lifestyle. So if he doesn't believe in himself, he's never going to get there, right? But if he does, there's a chance he will be, right? So that's an example of an untrue belief, but it's helpful, right? Then there's something that is untrue and unhelpful. And one of those examples is a different client that I talked to today, and we were going over how he can become more assertive and how he can express himself more. And I've been working with him on this for a while, and he's been a bit of a slow learner. And I've tried this way and this way and this way and this way, and he's made some improvements, but it's not hitting home like the main thing I'm trying to teach him. He's taking this very slow, circuitous route. And I think part of it has to do with the way that he thinks. He's a very linear thinker. And he's a bit of a nerd. And so this causes him to learn slow. Whereas someone who is a bit more of an emotional of a character, an intuitive of a character, they can just like, you know what, I'm just going to believe this and go, right? I'm just going to run with it. Whereas he's like, needs to be very sure, right? Which has its own problems, right? Just that approach to socializing. But very specifically, when it comes to, because there's positives to that type of thinking too, right? You're very disciplined, so you can be good at certain things. But one specific problem that I was trying to get him to really change his view on was being more assertive and more expressive. And I had a very real moment with him where I'm like, dude, I'm really trying to get across to you that the way you come off, just it doesn't even seem sincere. Like you seem like you're not really feeling the things you're saying, because he'll say things. And actually, this other client of mine who I mentioned who went to Brazil, he had the same issue. At one point, he had said thank you to me. Then he said to me, he's like, but did that sound genuine? And I was like, not really, right? And it was this real emotional moment where he got upset because he was like, I am thankful towards you, and it's sad that you don't feel it. Like, I know that he's thankful, right? But purely from an objective standpoint, I'm telling him, like, you don't come off that way. So something needs to be fixed in the way that you express yourself. Because even though I know it, other people that you meet in the future aren't going to know you on the level that I do and know what you really mean, right? Because you're not expressing yourself in a sincere way. And so these two clients of mine both had the same problem. But this guy, the second one, they actually both have the same job. I was about to say, what he does for a living, but they both have the same job. Nerd jobs, right? And I was trying to really, home run this shit and be like, dude, like, fucking get it, basically. And then he revealed something very interesting to me, and it was a core belief, and it's something that's holding him back. And the core belief was, when people are, if you just heard, like, elephants, that was my cats, they're chasing each other. I'm not sure if you heard that or not. But when people are expressive or assertive, it annoys him. It annoys him. And that was very interesting for me to hear. When he has met people who are very rah, he basically thinks, dude, chill the fuck out, fuck off. Like, he actually was, he had a moment of candor where he doesn't usually talk like that. He's like, yeah, I really don't like it, right? And that has shaped so much of his life. Now, we could get into the therapy of why he feels that way, blah, 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 who gives a fuck, right? Just fucking change it, right? Just fucking win. Who cares about, the psychological bullshit behind it? We found the belief. That's important. That's the only important part, right? And it's wrong. Being assertive and being expressive can be used in a douchey way. You can meet people who are very, like, in your face and they're really confident and cool, but then, they hog the spotlight, they're rude to others, they put others down to make themselves look cool, they brag, they're arrogant, they don't care about others' feelings, right? They just want attention. There's negative ways that these tools can be used, but there's also positive ways that these tools can be used. If you're good at expressing yourself, you can get a message across. Like, for instance, the more better I become at expressing myself on video, which is a skill, the better I can communicate to you. Whereas 200 videos ago, I may not have had the ability to come across as someone like you because of whatever preconceptions you have of me, judgments you have of me. But if I learn how to express myself in the right way, and it gets through your mental defenses and you're open to learning from me, then you can take my beliefs and put them into action, and you can benefit from it. You can have a better social life, dating life, relationship life, whatever. So the skill of expression and assertiveness can benefit you in that way, or it can benefit, this client directly, where he can better communicate with women because they're going to be making snap judgments. Wow, I'm just really on this video. Snap judgments. Because she only knows you in 5 seconds when you walk up to her and talk to her, right? She's not going to sit there and, give you the time of day. She can't do that. It's just not efficient. And most of the time, snap judgments are actually pretty accurate because he does actually have a weakness. This core belief is wrong, that being assertive and expressive is bad, right? It's biased, and it doesn't encompass the full scope of this. It's taking a tool and judging the tool by the people who have misused it. Right? So this is an example of a belief that is untrue and unhelpful, right? But a belief that is true and helpful is what I just said. Learning how to be expressive, learning how to be assertive, but then using it for positive, wholesome ends. Me teaching you through a video, or you walking up to a girl that you don't know but you think is beautiful and getting to know her and then going on a date, and voila, How I Met Your Mother, okay? So you want to start digging deep into your belief systems and seeing what biases are holding you back from becoming the best version of yourself. I mean, there's tons of people on the internet who, for instance, have negative views of women. Women are this, Western women are this, and they're all sluts, and they're all whores, and they all lie, and they cheat, and they only want money, or they only want tall guys, or they only want good-looking guys, right? And these beliefs are all wrong, and they're unhelpful, and they're holding men back because they're developing anger and bitterness towards women, which is going to infect their interactions with women and pretty much with everybody. It's a very cynical, morally righteous point of view, right? And this your incorrect beliefs can be fucking you on many different levels, subtle and very overt. So you need to start asking yourself, what kind of beliefs do I have about myself, towards others, and women, especially? And are these beliefs true? And are they helpful? And unless you have a lot of evidence, real evidence for these beliefs, you need to assume that there's a very good chance you're wrong. And even if something is true, but it's unhelpful, you don't need it. Just ignore it. Something might be true and unhelpful, but it's not really giving you anything. Doesn't mean you have to lie to yourself, right? Except for that one self-delusion where you should just believe you could always win. You could always be the best. You could always beat anybody. I don't really see anything. You can admit that someone has a better skill than you, but you should never believe like they could beat me. Because if you put enough work in, you could eventually beat them. Right? As long as, again, it doesn't lead to you to some weird, deception where you're the best for just no reason at all. Well, that could keep you back, right? That's an example of a belief that could keep you back. And actually, some people do believe that, right? They'd be like, oh, I'm fine just the way I am. That's a very good example. Like, I am who I am. People need to like me for who I am. No, it's untrue. And it's unhelpful because you're not improving as a person because you think you're fine just the way you are. That's actually a very, very insidious view that infects a lot of people and stops them from growing. So you need to watch the distinction between that I will win mentality, which is uncertain, not necessarily untrue, but is very helpful, versus I'm fine the way I am. Two kind of similar beliefs, but two completely different conclusions and have two completely different effects, right? So start doing some self-reflection, looking at the failures of your dating life, either because it's non-existent or from your breakups or your rejections, and ask yourself, what kind of core beliefs do I have that are holding me back from properly improving and learning from my failures? Or have I just not put any work in at all, and there's a core belief that's keeping me from doing that somewhere? Even if it's literally just, oh, I don't have enough time, right? That's a big one. People like, oh, I got too much stuff going on. Okay, well, then when are you going to learn this stuff? When are you going to take the time to learn social skills and seduction skills and dating skills and relationship skills? You're going to always have an excuse of more time, right? So do you see? I just keep digging. I keep finding what bad behaviors that I see in people, and then what kind of belief is behind that behavior, because there's always a belief behind your actions. So get to digging and get to testing. Wish you guys all the best. Love you, and I'll see you soon.